Good evening, Nick the Forester here. I want to let y'all in on a little project that will be coming after this 510. I'm proposing putting a 710 piston cylinder on 1010 right hand start 1010 crankshaft and oil tank. If you haven't gone out and checked out Jeremy Bell's video on turning a 1010 into 70cc saw, I'd implore y'all to go watch that video. Really great stuff. I've been thinking about trying to do this for a while. He kind of stole a little bit of my thunder, but I'm going to put it into action, kind of what he was saying. But he's another great YouTuber that I watch very often. Been following him for a very long time. He's kind of what got me starting to port these Macs, showing how he's ported them and the gains I've seen and some other cool tips and tricks. But I had to wait for this bearing retainer, bearing sleeve, bearing insert, whatever you want to call it, to come in. Here is the 700 cylinder I'll be using. It's 700, no bridge, and uses this insert on the it'd be the clutch side. If you watch this video, you will know on 1010 it will not fit the 1010 oil tank on the clutch side. It's a 70cc only, or 70cc and up. I guess modification that McCulloch did. It's the same size bearing. I'm not quite sure why they did it, but it's one thing you got to overcome if you want to put like a piston and cylinder off a 70cc saw on a 1010 oil tank. So to accomplish this, you saw it will not fit the 1010 oil tank, but does fit on the 70cc cylinder. If you try to put it on 70cc cylinder on a 1010 oil tank without it, your bearing's just gonna flop around. I mean, it won't run. It might fire up, but it's gonna rev to the moon because it's gonna be a giant air leak if you can get it to fire up. So, what you're going to have to do, and what I will be doing, so you have to scribe you a line across this bearing retainer, which I've already done on this one. Get it down in here, tap it in. Here, I'll tap it in just for giggles. Tap it in, scribe you a line right at the base of it, at the base of the cylinder and the side of the bearing retainer. What you'll have to do, and what I will be doing, is cutting this bearing retainer pretty well. It's pretty well in half, and you'll take the upper half of it that you scribed. Gonna have to make sure that it's not protruding whatsoever. It's gotta be pretty well flush with the bottom of your cylinder. It's gotta be pretty well flush, because if not, it won't fit. It'll protrude out if it's protruding out of the bottom of this your 70cc cylinder. Then you will have an air leak and you will trash a bearing. So it has to be flush. And you may be able to get away with just a little bit undercut just a little bit. You may be able to get away with that with some sealant. But what I'll be doing, like I said, cutting it off where it's flush, getting it where it is absolutely flush. Then you should be able to, like I said, leave your upper half in your cylinder head and take your bearing and seal. I mean, I'm going to put some sealant on this and on here. It won't be able to spin in the 1010 oil tank just because how you cut it, and that the 1010 it's smaller, it won't be able to try to rotate. But what you will have to watch out for is the bearing rotating, bearing spinning, or the seal spinning. So I'm going to first try sealant, just your typical Yamabond, Moto Seal on the bearing and the seal to get it sealed up, and hopefully it'll have enough squish between this and the bottom of the oil tank to not spin. If it does end up spinning, then you can use the old farmer's trick where you take a punch, chisel, and punch in the top, the part of the bearing you will be using, or seal, or, oh, let me refresh, sorry. Let me slow down. The top of the bearing sleeve, make little divots, and that should be able to, once you tighten that cylinder, that crankshaft in between the top and bottom half, them little divots, them little low spots and then high spots you'll make should lock the bearing in, and I guess you could the seal, or you can use, which I'll probably try to do first, is a product called bearing retainer, sleeve retainer. The only caveat with that is that typically it'll almost, it's going to seal it harder than super glue. I mean, that stuff, once it cures up, you may not be able to pull that bearing off of this sleeve, but it should not spin once that stuff seals and cures, sorry. But that's my plans. I said that this 700 piston and cylinder will go on a 1010 oil tank. I'll try it out first. If not, I have another one of these. Have some more bearings, have more seals, and I have a lower tank for a 610, which will take this sleeve fine, and it will still fit in a 1010 body. And it'll still be going, in goal, it's going into a right hand start 1010 body. That's my plan. How we exactly get there, I'd like to try this, and I'd like to see if I can get it to work. I'm going to try a couple different ways, and I'm going to explore all options, all opportunities to try to get this work on a 1010 oil tank. But if not, we'll put it on a 70cc oil tank. Another thing on that Jeremy went over, Bellhopper Chainsaws, I think he's on YouTube, is the intake block between the 70cc's and the 54cc's, which you will see here. It's a great example. See how short this one is? This is for 70cc. This one actually is also for 54cc or 70cc. Both are for 70cc's. But that looks like a 1010 because it's thicker. Well, I've run into this on the 510s I've done, is they're actually machined a little bit lower than your 700s, and they use the 54cc thickness tank insulator, phenolic carb spacer, however you want to call it. I'm not exactly sure. And then on the tank half, it's milled closer to the bottom of the carb. So you have to watch out for that. But this thick one is typically used on your 54cc saws, and your thin one like this like this guy right here. It does have a gasket underneath it, but you can see it's much thinner. It's typically used on your 70cc's. That's my plan. I'll be getting on this saw as soon as I get done with this 510, porting this 510 and putting it back together. I will not be porting this 710 right now. This is the only cylinder I have. And from what I've always heard, these are very strong saws right out of the gate. So this one will be left stock. I will clean up some of the casting on it, but other than that, this cylinder is going to stay stock. I'm more or less testing getting it on a 1010 oil tank and then in a 1010 body. I will be porting some more 1010 saws and Pro 55s. I have multitudes of those, so I don't mind testing and trying out things on those saws. And that's a little update on project that'll be coming up next. I will, I will be doing some short little videos on some other saws, just general maintenance stuff, other little cool tips and tricks, 10-12 minute videos maybe on some other saws in between. But that's the long-term builds I have coming up, is this 510, this 710, and then I will probably get on that 850 I showed earlier on the channel, or if y'all are interested, I can hop on that Husqvarna 285, or I can hop on that Pioneer farm saw. Other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope y'all learned something new. And I hope y'all have a great night and a great week. Thank y'all.